Hello YouTube, this is Chris. I'm here to talk to you about religion and its somewhat inherent delusion that without religion, or so a lot of people believe, that society would be a sick, twisted, fucked up culture without religion and the morals it supposedly brings. My problem here is the fact that religion, that's not the source of the morals that we have. In fact, our morals are derived from our human abilities, that human emotion, and our empathy towards others of our own kind, and our basic survivalistic ability to survive and protect our own species, all for the most part. See, there's going to be a few outsiders here and there who will not care about the survival of their own kind and will kill their own. But for the most part, society as a whole, without religion, would still understand that killing is not good. Sometimes it probably can be good, but like if it was like revenge or some kind of, I don't know. But there might be times, or self-defense, there might be times where it's very warranted, you see. To warrant killing is, I don't know, I'm not trying to sound like some murderer or anything, but there are times where killing is warranted, but for the most part, it's understood that nothing good can really come of it in the long run. However, there's this idea that without religion, we would have no morals, even outside of our ability to use logic, which a lot of the religious folks seem to lack. Our ability to use logic and our ability to empathize or even sympathize with our fellow species. And I think that is where our morals are derived from. Not a religious text, not any kind of sense of self-righteousness, rather than a sense of self-humility, because a lot of religious people seem to lack that humble aspect that it takes to be human, even though it clearly states that Jesus, if he existed, let's just assume he did for this sake of the argument, was a very humble person and didn't hang around, fellow Christians like you see your Christians doing today, but instead hung around the sick and the dying to help them. And you won't see one Christian alive today. Well, maybe a very select few. But most Christians alive today wouldn't think twice about hanging around with a prisoner or a criminal or a convicted felon to try to save them. My point is, they preach morals, but they seem to be somehow above them. And that is inherently fucked up. I can't even, but moving on. If you were to take all of religion out of the history text, what you would end up with is morally, things probably will have changed very little. Morally, things we would have probably very closely to the same morals that we have today, save for a few ridiculous ones, like taking the Lord's name in vain, which some omnibenevolent, omnipowerful, omnipotent being should not worry oneself with such petty human linguistics. But the point here is that history, in fact, history might actually even change a lot, considering that if you were to take history out of the past, if you had like some kind of time machine, theoretically of course, the point would be that everything would change quite a bit. There's an entire 1,000+ years that would probably change due to us taking out religion from history, because there are many years of suffering and all kinds of fucked up shit, the Crusades, and I can't even begin to list them all, and I can't remember very much right now. My mind's going kind of blah, because it's early in the morning. But my point is, whether you're religious or not, there are those morals that are set in just from being a human being. And to say that without religion we would not have morals is not only arrogant, but it's completely against what you humble Christians preach. And I'm not just talking about Christianity here, I'm talking about all religions. But I'm pointing you out, Christianity, because I know you better. But I guess my thesis here is that morality is derived from the human ability to feel empathy and pity and many, many other of our emotions amongst our vast array of human emotion. And that's what dictates our ability to set our own individual morals, something that should never be objective, but should always remain subjective to each individual person. And no one governing body should be able to judge against that, save for the secular regions in which one occupies, such as if you were to live in a small town and everybody there believes that killing is bad, and you mindlessly killed the butcher who lived there, ironically, it would be in that town's right to do with you what they will, because living with the town, you would agree to their rules, or I'm sure they would make the rules very clear that they don't want any funny business. So it all depends on the secular regions and cultural. There's so many cultural diversities and moral diversity. It's a very touchy subject, but it should all be subjective and never taken objectionably. No religious text can tell you what you believe.